Hey everyone, this is Jose for On Tour, and today we travel to downtown Brooklyn to answer a question that's been on my mind for a while. Where Brooklyn at? Let's talk about Brooklyn. So when I say the word Brooklyn, you already know what it is. It's the movies, it's the music, it's the art. It's a part of New York City. It has diversity, it has style, it has pizzazz. It's got history, it's colorful, it's modern, it's hip. So what can I really say about Brooklyn? It has a lot going for it. But I'm still gonna ask the question, where's Brooklyn at? As a Queens kid, I always asked myself, why was Brooklyn so famous? I mean, why did Brooklyn seem so cool and full of art? Well, if you walk the streets, you could breathe in the history. I mean, Brooklyn, it's famous for many things. I could go down a whole laundry list of famous musicians that come out of Brooklyn, or all the iconic scenes, and how about all the trends that were set in Brooklyn. But as a kid from the other side of the tracks, I always thought to myself, where's Brooklyn going? Brooklyn. I asked where's Brooklyn at because of the trend setting that they're known to be. Brooklyn is diverse and has historic areas all throughout. But my journey took me to downtown, where I traveled to areas like DUMBO, Brooklyn Heights, Cobble Hill, Carroll Gardens, and I feel like that was only a fraction to cover my areas in Brooklyn. But New York City is just too large, and each of its boroughs are too large to cover it all. So I have to dissect everywhere I go in New York City by districts. It makes it easier and it helps me focus a little bit more on the area itself. Downtown Brooklyn caught my eye because of all the photos and all the movie backdrops under the Brooklyn Bridge, under the Manhattan Bridge, or just crossing the bridge, looking at the Manhattan skyline. It just seems like a picture-perfect area. It's pizza. I'm in New York. I just love pizza. DUMBO, or better yet, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. That's a handful. The name DUMBO simply amplified people's curiosity. It was a name given by the local artists in the 70s so that they can keep people from buying real estate here. It was a hidden treasure of inspiration. So DUMBO is easily situated for trade between Manhattan and travelers through the Hudson River from the Atlantic. This area had a box rail to transport goods between the ships to the factories and warehouses. It's so loud in New York, but from this side, the city looks gigantic. It's a beautiful scene. Those systems have since been decommissioned as technologies have improved. Now DUMBO acts as a beacon for modernization. In DUMBO alone, there are around 700 tech firms. Talk about where's Brooklyn at? It's at the future of technology. separates New York City. It's water. And this is how the 5 boroughs are divided. Water everywhere. And it's an easy port for the folks coming through the Atlantic Ocean. And it's what's created, realistically, the industry of New York City. What led me on this tour and what truly kicked off the 5 boroughs exploration was the music and the art. And Brooklyn is no stranger. You think of famous and an abundant list comes up of celebrities born in Brooklyn. Brooklyn develops talent, and with that comes their artistic views and influence. No matter where you walk in the city, there will be a mural or graffiti wall with some of the most awe-inspiring blends. These trends are being imitated throughout the world. Something made popular during the early days of hip-hop. Brooklyn is art, and art is music. And in Brooklyn, legends are born. Every borough has their impact and influence, but in Brooklyn, it has its own unique sound. I mean, the swagger, the style, the icons. Icons like Jay-Z, like Biggie, like Big Daddy Kane. I wonder where hip-hop would be if it wasn't for those pioneers. The street art. It then got inducted into art history by the inclusion of the legend Basquiat. Basquiat's art depicted the struggles of the people, especially during the crack pandemic of the 80s. And many of that is reflected in Brooklyn's music. I feel that Brooklyn has the most soulful vibes of the 5 boroughs. It's a place that's inspiring, that gets my creative ideas flowing. Wherever I turn, there's something navigating towards creativity. And this is why the art scene and art galleries continue to explode in Brooklyn. Where else are you gonna find such a romanticizing city that set the way for American industrialization with landmarks that are picturesque and homes that are seen in a calendar? Where's Brooklyn at? It's giving you art. That's where it's at. When I think about Brooklyn, I always think about the Brooklyn Bridge. And then I think about its architecture. And I remember visiting Brooklyn as a kid and always saying, why are there so many row homes in Brooklyn? It was just different from my hometown, from what I was used to. So Brooklyn is a borough of constant change and styles. But one thing that stays consistent with Brooklyn is the housing. When we talk about Brooklyn history, we have to speak about the design. Robert Fulton, the name behind Fulton Street, developed the steam ferry for transport between Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan. That set off a wave of new residents that helped build the now iconic look of Brooklyn homes. Starting with Brooklyn Heights, it became America's first commuter suburb. The home started as wood and later molded into brick for its warmth, and the fact that it's easy to work. It gave Brooklyn its own look, an eclecticism of Italian brownstones, neo-Gothic, and Greek revival. Something I didn't think too much about in fine arts class, but it opened my mind to architecture. But there's always a tale of two Brooklyns. These row houses and neighborhoods are a must-see in Brooklyn, but they were mostly created for the commuters. In reality, these neighborhoods are on par with the prices in Manhattan, and yet people still flock to Brooklyn. They have a good reason across the bridge. It's young, it's hip, it's eccentric, it's for families. This is where Brooklyn's at. It's in the architecture. Much like its architecture, it's a combination of art styles to create its own unique identity. You can't take a trip to New York City, especially to Brooklyn, without crossing the Brooklyn Bridge. It's one of New York's oldest landmarks, and also one of the most recognizable bridges in the world, a true symbol for Brooklyn. This was the first steel wire bridge ever created, so at the time, it was the eighth wonder of the world.
They say New York has some of the busiest streets. Right here on the Brooklyn Bridge, the traffic never stops, it just keeps on going. Foot and car traffic, look at this.
It's definitely worth the walk just to get the experience. Walking over the bridge and seeing the city. It's a beautiful sight.
Brooklyn is an exciting city. The rhythm, the vibes, the art, the trends. If you were to ask me where's Brooklyn at, it's been right here all along, setting the trends for others to follow. This is Jose for On Tour. If you like what you've seen today, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share. If you want to know more about the places I've been to, please see the links below. Until next time.